Good morning. It's Friday, April 28th, VIP pre-market prep. We're going to do a free preview right now on Rumble, just testing out their technology again. We haven't done it in quite some time because some tech issues, but we'll see. If it works out, maybe we'll do like a once a week free preview on Rumble. So, all right, this morning, you know what we do here if you're new, if you're watching on Rumble for the first time, we have a pre-selected list of stocks. We monitor about 300 of them here on the morning show list. And the whole idea behind story trading is we like to understand price action, and then predict immediate changes in price based on an understanding of what we call the four pillars. So it's not just looking at fundamentals, it's looking at sentiment, catalysts, and technicals. And the whole idea is we're pushing back against people who say the market is chaotic, the market doesn't make sense, assets are always mispriced. We're saying, no, asset pricing is understandable when you look at it holistically. You look at technicals, fundamentals, sentiment, and catalysts. So you understand it holistically, so you can understand why the price is where it's at today. And when you have that understanding, you can make predictions about near-term price movements when catalyst hits. That's how we do it. We've been very successful at doing that. In the morning, first we look at macro situation over here, regional banks. We're looking at that to see if there's any further distress signals that can move the market today. Not really much going on. You can see those tickers we have at the top. First Republic, a little bit of bounce because there's some rumors out there that they're trying to avoid a FTC takeover. I think we'll see something happen this weekend. I don't play these, all right? This is just, we're monitoring this situation as far as a macro level to see how it might impact stocks. Now, there was some economic data out this morning, which is a little bit mixed. PCE, which is the preferred inflation number, PCE came out a little better than expected month over month, but the core PCE was a little bit higher, so a little bit mixed, and you're seeing mixed reaction in TLT UP. If you think interest rates are going to go up, UP should go up. If you think interest rates are going to go down, TLT should go up. So they're both up. So a little bit contradictory. I still like TLT as a hedge. These are the hedges I have in this environment that I'm recommending. TLT, Bitcoin, and gold. Those three. Okay, TLT, Bitcoin, and gold, I think, are nice hedges to have in a portfolio against the macroeconomic uncertainty. So now we're going to our morning show list, specific stocks. We've been tracking earnings all week, the big ones, Intel, Amazon from last night. Yesterday on the post-market wrap live, when this was 120, I'm like, I looked at those numbers. Again, we're making immediate interpretations, not just on the fundamentals, but the psychology, the market psychology. How are the investors interpreting the words coming out on the headline and the body of the press release and the conference call? We look at all that. So when Amazon hit 120, I'm like, well, this doesn't make sense. This is not a big enough of a beat to warrant a 120 price. And then later they made some comments, some more bearish comments that caused the stock to go all the way back down to 50 DMA. Okay, so that's what's going on with Amazon. Intel, I like. This is why I like it. Because look at this. Interesting. The headline on Intel, they're actually getting good headlines. But if you look at the numbers, it says like better than expected beat, right? But if you actually look at the numbers, the better than expected beat, I mean, very, very small. And that was Q1. And what really matters is the forward-looking commentary, Q2. So if you go look at all these, like, the Intel numbers are good. But if you go to Q2, all right, the number was actually, the guidance here was actually negative here. Q2 adjusted EPS was 5 cents lower than analyst estimates. And the top line, okay, was basically in line, 12 billion at the midpoint versus 11.75 billion. That's not a report that screams, let's break moving averages, right? Let's go up but what's happening? It's gapping above the 20 DMA on a report that I don't think is necessarily that great. Now, to me, that's a sign when you start moving up on neutral news or bad news. That's a sign of a bottom, and Intel needs a sign of a bottom. This stock has been down for a very long time. Now, after the fact, I found out maybe one of the reasons that it is reacting well is because of some guidance on the second half of the year that you don't see in the headlines. So in the commentary in the CC, they're saying that their margins are going to improve even more in the second half of the year. And so that may be the reason why you're getting this good reaction on a headline, which I don't think is that great. But overall, this is a trick, right? When you're down on good news, that's a bad sign, right? When you're up on bad news, that's a good sign. So I have Intel in my IRA, and I'm encouraged by the price action today and the reaction to the news here on Intel. I'm not going to make any price predictions on it today because we're right at the 20 DMA right now. Right at the 20 DMA 30. Well, it's breaking right above it. Well, let me see the 50-week moving average right above it. Okay. I'm not making any predictions. I'm just holding it. All right. I got Intel. Now let's go to some specific stocks that could be movers today into Monday that we've been tracking the last several days. Atom, ATOM. This is a big one. They had big news yesterday with that deal with, I think it was STM. Yeah, ST Microelectronics, and up like 40%. There's like 30 days to cover on this. The short position is crazy, 19.4% of the float. And because of the volume, it's like 30 days to cover. Now, interesting today is Russell ranking day. Today, after the close, there's going to be a list released by the Russell telling us which stocks might be removed from the IWM ETF, Russell 2000, and which stocks might be going into the index. And this is huge because on June 23rd, all these indices, all the ETFs will have to switch and sell stocks and buy stocks. This is a very, very significant event. Now, up until yesterday, when the stock here was at like $5.26 2 days ago, it looked like Atom might not make the cutoff for the market cap. But now with that move yesterday, the market cap is 168 million. There's a much greater chance. I don't know what exactly the cutoff is going to be, but today after the close, I don't know exactly what time it comes out. There's a possibility because of the move yesterday that they'll come out and say ATOM will stay in the Russell. And that's huge. That's huge because part of this short position, as I'll explain with XXII in a second, part of this move down is investors anticipating that it's going to be taken, the stock's going to be taken out of the Russell. And on June 23rd, there's going to be millions of shares for sale. So what happens is the shorts sell now and they buy that high volume transaction on June 23rd. So they cover without causing a short squeeze. That's the play on these stocks that are forecast to be coming out of the Russell. If they stave off deletion from the Russell, and that news comes after the close today, we could see a further short squeeze in Atom next week. My price target here is about $8.60 at that 200-week moving average on this very favorable news, good fundamentals. And we interviewed Dan Carlson, expert on ATOM, yesterday, and he gave us a glowing reviews on that deal with STM. So ATOM, it's in play. I'm holding it since yesterday as a swing into the Russell news today and looking for that 200-day moving average target. Or was it the week 200-day moving average target? There you go. All right, VTSI, just want to let you know, a little plug. They had earnings, this big gap, if you remember, and I love those earnings. I tripled my position in my IRA within the opening seconds on April 3rd, or maybe it was the night before and after hours. So that worked out well. It's riding up to 20 DMA. We are interviewing this Sunday night the co-CEOs of VTSI for the very first time. I don't know anyone who's interviewed John Givens yet, and that CEO appears to be a rock star. We're going to see what he has to say, okay? If they continue performing like they just did this past quarter, I think the stock's a double this year. This could be a $10 stock this year. So I'm very excited. Tune in. It's in our app only exclusively. So you got to go to storytrading.com/app to see that interview at 9 p.m. Eastern this weekend. Let me throw up that link up here. There we go. So it's 9 p.m. this Sunday night, and there's a free trial available. If You're watching the free preview on Rumble right now. And you can see that interview with the co-CEOs of VTSI, and the technicals look good. Riding up the 20 DMA, fundamentals good. I can't wait for this interview. All right, a couple other earnings to be aware of: DAIO and JAKK. All right, there's lots of earnings. Look, 300 stocks here, but I'm only pointing out the ones that I think had good earnings reports this morning. DAIO, we've interviewed the CEO before. Looked like a really solid earnings report. They beat the EPS by like 10 cents on the EPS. You can see they beat the revenue by about $500,000, 7.2 versus 6.7 million. Very bullish forward-looking commentary. I personally don't think this is enough for a rapid re-rating of like several dollars, but there could be an inflection point occurring with this company. Maybe we'll reach out to management and do a follow-up CEO interview sometime in the next month. We got very positive comments from my colleague Julian on the conference call last night. So you can see resistance here is at 450. It butted up against that in after hours last night and this morning. It's very low liquidity. Be careful with this, but 450 is the level. I could definitely see it re-rating to 450 based on this earnings report. Above 450, you have resistance at 5. I'm probably not going to chase it, but we'll see. If I get lucky, if we can get stock prices like between 4 and 450 in that range, maybe it's worth it to add some of these shares on this earnings report. All right, not necessarily something you could trade intraday and make a lot of money in because it's not very liquid, more of a kind of hold stock like VTSI is. Another earnings report which really impressed, JAKK Pacific's, JAKK. We don't talk about this stock much. It's always been on my radar. It's been on my radar for like 10 years. And another excellent report. This is even though it's a loss, they beat by 54 cents. And the commentary is very, very positive. This is the worst quarter of the year. The first quarter, they always lose. And this is their most profitable first quarter, like in like 20 years or something, since 2009. It looks like. It looks, did it say 2009? In a very long time. It's somewhere in there. So this was a very, very positive report. People keep buying their toys. Very impressive. This is just a story about great management. I don't know how they're doing it. They're doing a really good job, really good management. I don't own the stock. Just wanted to let you know it was a really good earnings report, and you got resistance here at $28. And I would say your support is yesterday's close at $22. This one is going to be pretty volatile today. I believe there could be trading opportunities in there within that range. Good luck if you choose to trade that. All right, a couple other Russell 2000 plays for today. INFU Systems and ASUR Software will probably be included in that list after the close today. Now, the play might be over for ASUR Software. I mean, this big run, a lot of this big run was people anticipating they're going to be added to the Russell. Now, it's pulled back. This is going to be hard to play. You do have a gap support here at like 1250 to 1320. So I think this is tough to predict what it might do here. You also have support at $12. It's possible after the close you get a pop when the PR comes out that they're going to be included in the Russell. But I think INFU Systems is going to be easier play because ASUR was known for a very long time. They're going to be added to the Russell because of their 270 million market cap. But INFU is more on the edge, 190 million market cap. And they've just maybe recently in the last month or so been able to get to a spot where they're going to be included in the Russell. So it may be more of a surprise to the market and more for some forced buying, right, that we may see. And you can see yesterday, I think that's already happening. Thank you, Chris Tuttle, for bringing this to our attention. Tuttle Trades, episode 2, which we do Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. He let us know about INFU Systems and this dynamic. It's riding up to 50 DMA. Very nice candle yesterday. I'm going to give this a possible target. This is like a cup maybe forming here. And possibly this could do 950 to 980 today if this plays out. 950 to 980, maybe even after hours 10. If this actually plays out, it's speculation. We don't know for sure if they're going to be added to the Russell, but if they are, there's an opportunity here today in INFU. Keep that on your radar. All right, let's talk. I've been beating XXII like a dead horse, but I got to mention it. All right, XXII over the 20 DMA, still a swing target to 80 cents. It's 74 cents. They will be today after the close. They'll be excluded from the Russell unless the stock closes over $1. Now, the ironic thing about this, you may think, oh, the stock's going to crash after they're excluded. But the thing is, everyone already knows they're going to be excluded because they've been under $1 for such a long time. You see this entire action are hedge funds shorting the stock to the tune of 3.75 million shares over this period of time. Why'd they do that? Because IWM, the ETF of the Russell, owns 3.75 million shares exactly of XXII, which means come June 23rd, IWM will have to sell 3.75 million shares. And most likely that will be in a block transaction, 1 or 2 block transactions. Well, guess what? These shorts, that sold 3.75 million shares short, they'll be there on June 23rd to do that block transaction with IWM, thereby covering their short without driving the stock price up in the open market. So there's no more shorting to be had. They already shorted the 3.75 million shares in anticipation of this announcement after the close that they're not going to be in the Russell. So that's no longer a negative pressure. In fact, it may be a positive pressure because the short selling is over. And that was part of the thesis earlier this week when I said what I was anticipating is going to break over the 20 DMA, because I saw the new short data coming out and it already hit 3.75 million. I'm like, this is now a positive catalyst. We can break the 20 DMA, move towards 80 cents. Now, if by some miracle the stock closes above at $1 or higher tomorrow, you're going to see a massive short squeeze next week, or even an after hours tonight. By some miracle, that would have to be an out of the world PR at 3:45 p.m. by the company, which is possible. So keep it on your radar. Okay. I'm not counting on it, but keep that on your radar. All right. So besides that, there's a massive short position of 17 million shares outside the 3.75 million shares. This is something that could definitely short squeeze when we get all catalysts later this year. This is something I'm looking for a 5 to 10 bagger in the next year or two on XXII, 5 to 10 bagger potential. It's sitting in my IRA. Do also have some trading shares looking for 80 cents or maybe even more in the next few weeks. All right. Another one, big one. I love this with Chris Tuttle. We've been talking about it for a long time. Tuttle Trades episode 2, we talked about it. CYH. I have this into earnings on Monday. All their peers in the hospital sector blew out earnings, whether it's HCA or Tenet Healthcare or UHS. They all blew out earnings. This one, we have a swing target here of 690. That report comes after the close, riding up the 20 DMA beautifully. Huge short position of like 13 days. So this is beautiful. Beautiful story trade. Has all the pillars in there. So CYH. Today, Monday, and then Monday after the close, we get our news. We'll see what happens. Rumble has been hit by a short attack yesterday. Look, this is going to be a battleground stock for a very long time. I've always been saying this stock is fairly valued at best and probably overvalued. However, at Story Trading, we care about sentiment. We value sentiment. We don't believe assets should be priced simply on their cash flows. I don't believe that's how the world works. Okay, assets should also be priced on their sentimental value. That's legitimate. In my mind, it's not an overvaluation. And because of that dynamic, I love Rumble playing it by selling puts, because you have the shorts and the bears out there saying, hey, this stock is probably worth $5 or less based on your trailing financial metrics or whatever it is, right? But then you have a lot of sentimental value, and you all know, we don't have to rehash, especially folks watching on Rumble right now. You all know what that sentimental value is and what we think about the TAM and the potential for the stock in the future. And we all know there are people who will own this stock no matter what, no matter how expensive it is. Therefore, this is an ideal stock to sell puts on. Okay, the yields are very, very high. Effective annual yields have actually dropped recently, which actually tells you that perhaps the story is getting a little bit more bullish. We don't have time to rehash all of this, but I'm monitoring iOS app rankings. I'm monitoring the views on videos, and it's all skyrocketing right now. Things look really good. And there is a chance, if they do sign Tucker Carlson, by the way, if they do sign Tucker Carlson, I'll be buying that pop. Let's say in the first minute or two before I get to that order and it's already $9, I'm still buying it because it's going to $12, $13, $14 if they sign Tucker Carlson. So keep that in mind as a possible play. Keep that on your radar. All right, I'm just going to cover 2 or 3 others. AUGX, AUGX. This is now an artificial intelligence play with this deal they had with HCA, right? This is an art. I bought this in my IRA. I have it. Had a great day yesterday. So this is a massive, important deal. Do they have a short position? No, not really. But I think this is a new floor. I don't think you're going below this gap over here. If you do, I think anything in here is going to be a buying opportunity long term. But this one, I am looking for this at some point soon to break past this resistance of 340 and make a move towards 4, that next resistance. It's 288, so that could be quite a move on AUGX. That news is just too good. Partnering with HCA and getting into they're already in the artificial intelligence, but doubling down on really cool technology. You got to read that press release from last week on the artificial intelligence product they're doing for the healthcare space. It's very, very fascinating, AUGX. And the last one I'm going to cover is DermTech. Now, we usually don't cover stocks that don't have a catalyst like today or tomorrow, and especially when they're in a downtrend. But sometimes we miss opportunities like that. So I went out of my way to say, all right, let's try to get something that's on a pullback that's quiet. It might not fly today, might not fly next week, But this is getting into a value zone. DermTech, they have a lot of cash. The EV is close to zero. It might even be negative, the enterprise value on DermTech. This could be the next Exact Sciences, EXAS. And they have earnings when? It's soon. It's May. Is it next week? Let's see. The earnings date is May 4th. So that's going to be Thursday, I believe, next week. So earnings are coming up on Thursday of next week, and the stock is down here. This may be setting up to be a decent risk reward. Now, I don't expect anything huge out of earnings just yet, but maybe their forward-looking commentary is going to be good. This is all about getting they do a patch that tests early detection of skin cancer. And you know what Exact Sciences does? It's basically an outpatient way of testing, a non-invasive way. Exact Sciences has a non-invasive test to test for colon cancer, early detection of colon cancer. And this is in a similar vein. And if you look at Exact Sciences, well, I can only have a 5-year chart here, but this thing just like exploded. And I was invested in Exact Sciences back when it was like $5 to $10, and I didn't stick with it. And it ended up being a 10-bagger, right? And why didn't I stick with it? Because it was in the same kind of period DermTech is right now. The period they were in was they had an approved product, but it didn't seem to be getting traction, right? They were like getting these insurer deals, but like revenue wasn't exploding. And that's exactly where we are for DermTech. And I think the parallels are just too similar. And I can't know for sure if doctors and, you know, the healthcare ecosystem will say, yeah, this is a great product, let's start prescribing it. But the insurers are now covering this. They have, I think it's over 100 million covered lives right now, DermTech does. And the latest one from New York, another 400,000. So this possibly could be the next Exact Sciences, possibly could be a 10, 20, 30 bagger stock. And we have earnings coming out next week. So a couple ideas here. One is maybe a small position in a diversified long-term portfolio, which I have. And the other is now it's been beaten down really bad, down to 316, kind of near a support level right there at around $3. With a catalyst, earnings next week, with RSI relatively low, perhaps it's an earnings play. The risk reward perhaps is good on DermTech today. So, all right, that's all we got. And I see the audience count increasing on Rumble, so that's good. People are watching there. And maybe we'll do this more often on Rumble. Chris Pavlovski's got to make it a little bit easier to initiate live streams on Rumble. It's a very difficult process right now. It's not turnkey like we have for our studio here and YouTube. But in any case, guys, thanks for joining us. I'm going to be back today at some point to do a post-market wrap. I try to do the post-market wraps right at 4 p.m. on Fridays. I tend to do them a little bit earlier. So as long as you're in our app, storytrading.com/app, you'll get the push notifications of when we do all the events. But the big one, I think, the next big important event, VTSI co-CEOs, 9 p.m. this Sunday night. Be there. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Good luck.